8:36, and on a completely different note this morning, women should be protected under expanded hate crime laws, according to a new report which has come out from the Law Commission. It's in the papers today. Now, the Law Commission is an independent body that advises government. It says misogyny should be treated in the same way as other discrimination when it is a motivation for a crime. Campaigners have welcomed the proposal, including the Labour MP Stella Creasy, who called it our moment for change. Well, let's get more now. Here's our legal correspondent, Clive Coleman.
Hate crime covers criminal offences such as assault, harassment and criminal damage, where the victim's targeted because of hostility towards one or more of 5 protected characteristics. They're currently race, religion, sexual orientation, disability and transgender identity. A crime's considered more serious if it involves a hate element. Following evidence of crimes linked to misogyny, the Law Commission's proposing adding sex and gender to the protected characteristics to protect women, though it will also consider whether the protection should extend to men.
Let's talk now to Godfrey Bloom, a social commentator on all of this. Would you agree then with the MP Stella Creasy? Is this our moment for change?
No, I believe the whole concept of hate crime is deeply flawed. It's totally against the historical principles of English law. I thought we'd moved on for this. It's a great shame that we haven't. It shouldn't make any difference to your treatment by the police or by the legal system, dependent upon what the colour of your skin is or your sexual predilections. It isn't right. It isn't fair. We should all be treated the same, regardless.
But the point is that we want to get rid of things like racism and discrimination. So if you are, if a crime is committed against you because of those reasons, it's taken more seriously so that as a nation we can change and go forward.
No, that's not actually the way it actually works. You see, what actually happens if I'm white and middle class and I get bashed over the head and I have my wallet stolen, what actually happens is that the police then will put me into whatever system that they have to try and find the perpetrator. I shouldn't go to the bottom of the list because it wasn't registered as or perceived to be a hate crime.
I don't think that's the way it works either. You wouldn't go to the bottom of the list. It's just when you get to your place in the list, it will be considered as to whether that was an element or not.
No, that isn't how it works. If the Home Office insist upon quotas from regional police officers if they have pursued what is perceived to be a hate crime in preference to other crime. So what actually happens is you can move yourself further up the list of police investigation if you claim it is a hate crime. And
Are
that
you sure?
is completely wrong. Oh, of course I'm sure. I'm absolutely positive. I never say anything on air that I'm not sure of.
You can back that up. Okay, well, I've never heard that before. That's why I asked.
You speak, well, you might have to have a private word with your local chief constable there in Kent, but I can assure you that that is the case. And they actually
We will. Do you know what we will? We speak to him every Friday, don't we, here on the Wake Up Call? We'll ask him.
And ask him if he gets 2 exactly the same crimes. Let's say mugging. Just let's pick mugging out of the air for that one and say, would he give priority if the victim was a homosexual or in some way had a black skin or whatever it was and claimed it was a hate crime? Would they get priority in policing?
There is a nuance, though. There is a nuance, isn't there? Because, you might be any one of the protected characteristics, but that might not be part of the investigation because the person mugging you didn't shout those things at you. There's no proof for it, if you see what I mean. It needs to be tangible, surely. It needs to be. It wasn't just an opportunist, you seem like you might have money in your wallet kind of thing. It was like I've attacked you because you are a certain religion, a certain colour, a certain disability, whatever.
Yes, indeed. I entirely agree. And I think you're endorsing my point. You should be treated by the law and by the police and by the whole legal system as absolutely no different as to that crime, if it's grievous bodily harm or robbery with violence, so on and so forth. You should be treated the same. We should all be treated the same, regardless of the colour of our skin or our sexual predilection.
You slightly misunderstand me. What I was saying, actually, was there are certain cases where it cannot be proved. Now, where it can be proved that somebody was discriminated against, was targeted, perhaps was mugged, if you want to take your example, because of the colour of their skin, surely then it's different to, well, it was just an opportunist mugging. That was my point.
No, it shouldn't be any different at all. The law should stand, and every perpetrator of a crime should be getting the same treatment, regardless of the circumstances, based on the law. And if you talk about this latest idea of misogyny, it doesn't follow. It's a subjective decision as to what is misogyny and what isn't. It's the jury is then being asked to judge on what is a subjective decision, and of course it would have to mean, would it not, that you would have to make misandry
the point Clive Coleman mentioned.
You?
Yes, our legal correspondent said that's being considered, I think, at the moment, and I'm sure that will be, the next debate that we're having here on BBC Radio Kent. But I think that these kind of nuances can be allowed for, surely, in a court of law. Other things are debated. Was it abuse or not? Was it bullying or not, for example? So was it misogyny or not? It can be debated. People are quite competent in that respect.
Well, indeed, are they? It's a very deep psychological problem. And if I were to say I don't think women are very good at reversing cars into a small space,
you would probably get hit quite quickly. Yes.
Would the jury suggest that was a criminal offence? Or if my wife to say the trouble is with men are absolutely incapable of washing up properly, is that misandry? I mean, you see what a deep division we can find here in society.
The problem with that is, Godfrey, just to pick you up on that point, the problem with that is then we actually ignore when it is deeply hurtful, and we allow misogyny, for example, to flourish in our society because, we all think it's just something you would have a sense of humour about. Well, no.
Well, of course, then again, you see that's a subjective opinion. And if you talk to some of the top comedians like Michael Palin and John Cleese, who've already made this observation, indeed other senior broadcasters have said, it's very difficult if you're trying to draw a subjective line in the sand as to what is or what is not acceptable. It's your view as what is acceptable. It might not be the same as mine. And so it's a dangerous game to play.
Is somebody upset by it? It's probably quite a good benchmark. If somebody heard that and it was about them, would they be upset or would they be laughing with me?
Well, who knows? But I mean, what kind of society do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a society where we all have to watch our P's and Q's all the time in case somebody in northern Scotland might get offended about something? We have to live in a free society, and that means sometimes, don't forget, you don't give offence, people take offence.
Do you want to live in a misogynistic society then?
I don't care whether it's misogynist or not. I live my own life, and I'd like to leave other people to live their own lives without any.
So you don't care. You don't care if women are discriminated against in the UK.
No! Don't put words in my mouth. There is already very serious legislation to stop discrimination in the workplace.
So you do care.
Women.
Do care then.
But that's not misogyny. That's not misogyny. Misogyny, if you look it up in the dictionary, I'm sure you have, is a hatred of women. Now, in a free society, you should be free to hate women if you so choose. What you're not free to do is to discriminate against them in the workplace or physically assault them in any way.
You're actually, I've got my dictionary here, actually. It does say, or a person who is strongly prejudiced against women.
Yes.
Yes. Well, so do we want to live in a society where people are going around hating people based on such a broad brush thing? It doesn't seem right to me.
Well, you are entitled, as long as it's not backed up by a breach of what is current law in a violent way or something of this nature, you're entitled to be prejudiced. We are all prejudiced in some way about something, somewhere, somehow, aren't we?
Does that make it right? Surely that's something we want to weed out of our society. We can do that. No, we can make it a better place.
I don't want people weeded
don't want it to be a better
society. Well, better in whose view? Not mine.
Everyone's.
I think the more,
Except
people interfere with people's own private views, I think the less of a free society in which we live, which makes it a worse society.
So more hate in your world. Be free to hate.
Be free to hate if you so choose, yes.
On that point, Godfrey, good to talk to you this morning. Godfrey Bloom is a social commentator. What did you make of his remarks this morning? Do you think that we need to live in a society where you get to choose, even if that might be discriminatory against other people? Interesting stuff. It's 8:45. It's